This is the Timers Playbook podcast, and I'm your host, Tepo Bule. I'm a father to two beautiful boys, lovely guys, but yarre, also hectic. Now, raising these guys has forced me to up my game in all areas of life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Welcome to the Timers Playbook, and thank you for tuning in. The black father is not a homogenous group. They go through different things, different stages.
It's diversity of stories. Not everybody's gonna be your friend. Not everybody
No,
you're
for
going
sure.
to. You know, you're gonna have some characters that you actually genuinely don't like.
No, Tess, I think you're forgetting.
I'm just letting you.
No, baby. I'm a seasoned broadcaster. You forget this. I didn't start broadcasting Izolo because of podcasts. Sacrifice is always demanded.
Sure. There's nothing for Mahala, Baba. You have to give up something.
There's a certain school that does not want to admit my child because Ridula Hagal.
But let them be, let them play. I mean, and by you giving them chores, by you disciplining them, it's actually still letting them be.
I don't think society is ready for that conversation because you can't fix something without understanding the cause.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's fix this GBB thing, but we don't want to hear your excuses. But what you're calling an excuse is why it happened. And the fact that is not the why we're talking about. That's just a reaction that needs to be dealt with. Obviously,
Now, before you start listening to this episode, please subscribe to the podcast. And at the end of the episode, give us an honest rating. This helps improve our content so we can better serve you. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Timers Playbook. Today, Mnikelo Madala. 40 years old, Joburg, 2 kids, married. Nakane 5, Nosihle 16. Madala.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, boss.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you for finally putting me on, man.
It took
I
me a
feel
while
like a
to find
celebrity.
you. We celebrity, you're hard to find. So, just a little bit about yourself, man. You said that you run a little NGO. These are your words. What do you guys do with the NGO, and why this NGO?
So I ran this thing with my old man. We are from the Eastern Cape. And if you go through the papers after every December, you pick up that the schools down there are not doing great, especially around maths and science. So we trying to establish a little thing that we help where we come from specifically at the moment. So we've adopted 2 schools. And we're in partnership with the university, Walter Sisulu, just trying to get them lessons every weekend around maths.
Okay.
And yeah, we do it. I mean, it's for us an attempt to uplift the community we come from. And hopefully, I mean, it's our first year doing it. So hopefully we'll see some positive results after this year and hopefully grow it a little bigger.
Okay. So is your old man that side?
No, he's here.
So how do you do it if you guys are this side? You
I'm
travel?
up and down, yeah.
How much traveling do you do? And how's that impacting your family?
It's not too bad. I mean, we're in the age of Zoom and all these virtual meetings. So you make a plan when you can't get there, because also it's not cheap to get down there. Flying to a return to Mthatha will set you back close to 5K.
Okay, wow.
So it's not a cheap exercise, but I mean, we feel strongly about it.
Okay. Well, getting into the podcast then, right? Fatherhood. So I noticed something here. Your kids, your eldest is 16, youngest is 5.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
So my missus had a kid before we met, Sihle. And yeah, that's basically the big gap. Ungbone sewulate.
So is this what they call a blended family? Because I don't know what that means.
That's exactly it.
What is that exactly?
Blended family, the way I understand it, is if you get together with someone and either if you have a kid or you both have kids and you meld them together and the family comes out on the other side looking like how you want it to look. Or people adopt. I mean, I consider that blended also. So that's basically my understanding of it.
That's a new phrase, because until maybe a year ago, I'd never heard of that. If you adopted, you adopted. It was never called anything else.
No, you blend.
You blend. Okay, cool. So then is it true that the older kids almost become like deputy parents? Is it helpful in the rearing of the young one especially?
I've not experienced that in this house.
or maybe in Dabafana and Amantombazana,
look, I think the difficulty with the age gap between them is Usihle has become used to being the only child for so long that it takes a minute for them to grasp that there's now a sibling that forces you to grow up and act a certain way and, you know, take on a bit more responsibility and just be a bigger brother. And that's been a bit of a struggle, but he's getting it now.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about your young one, Nakane. What kind of personality is he?
He's a he's a fun boy, man. He's bubbly. He's full of life. He loves laughter. He loves to entertain. He's the actor around here. He'll put on a show by himself, but he must be comfortable in the space. Yeah. You won't just get up, get your house, anganazi.
Because I see him as a quiet kid. Yeah. Whenever I see him, I would say, oh, that kid is very quiet, very reserved.
He takes a while to warm up to new spaces, but once he's familiar, watch out.
He's running. So what connects us where we met, obviously, is that our kids now go to the German school. And he's in my son's class, Umpo. He is also the performer of the house. And I get a sense that class, that's what they're building there is a bunch of performers and artists, because I'll say he's the funny guy in the house.
Yeah, look, I mean, and it's funny you say that because they seem to get along, Umpono no Nakane. I guess because of their quiet nature, because Umpo is also not was.
But you see, this is what I'm saying. In my house, that's the guy that's jumping off the walls. Like I cannot keep up with him. You see?
Yeah, I guess you gravitate towards what's familiar to you, and I guess that's what they do. But yeah, man, he's a bubbly fellow. I mean, he's on holiday now for a month, and I don't know, man.
No, he must arrange his play dates.
I don't know, man. He says to me, "Daddy, I'm bored." Yeah. Every 10 minutes, "Daddy, I'm bored." Okay. And then you play with him, and then he gets over it, and he gets back on to whatever he's been doing before. Then he'll come back and say, "Daddy, no one wants to play with me." How? How, this child. Yeah, no, play dates are a thing. And I spoke to Usam also about that, actually. And I think we should.
Yeah, we were just speaking. I was on the phone with him now when I was driving here. So I think definitely, I think that the term play date used to throw me for my own preconceived notions about what this thing implies.
You also found out about that a year ago.
This was more like 2 months. This one, actually. This one is very recent. And had always said in my head, this one is for my wife to do. But I'm realizing that actually I need to get involved in this thing as well. So I have the same challenge at home about, Daddy, I'm bored, I'm this, I'm that. So in my head, I'm always trying to negotiate that. Am I spending enough time with my kid? Is he learning enough? Is he playing enough? You know what I mean? Like, am I giving him everything that he needs at whatever time that he requires, whatever this thing is? And to me, it always feels like it's never enough. Because it's like, I don't know what else to do. Dude, I've given you toys, we've played, you've got cars, you played football. What else do you need?
You know what I think it is? I mean, we can buy all the toys in the world, I think. These kids want us to be there. They could trade the toys for our time, I feel. Because similarly here, we've got toys, we've got a console, hell, we've got 2 consoles. And they still come and say, "Daddy, I'm bored."
Yeah.
So I think for them, it's a bit of, I'm always at school. You always doing whatever you're doing. Can you give me a pound of flesh? And I think that's what it is. They love being around us. They love the attention we give them. And I mean, it's tricky because we didn't grow up like that. But I think because of where we're at in time, these kids just want what they want.
Yeah.
And we need to give it to them if we can, when we can.
Yeah, I know. I do agree with you. I think also, obviously, in terms of time and availability and just actually being present, that is very important. And do you have a particular philosophy as approach to fatherhood? Like, is something that you consciously think about? Like, I'm going to be this kind of father, and you and the wife, do you share that thing, or are there conflicts there in terms of what the approach is to raising these kids?
Look, I don't know if I've got a philosophy necessarily, but my general approach is I look at how I was parented and I look for the things that I didn't like and I try to weed those out.
Yeah.
And then the things that I did like, I try to amplify and give extra. But I don't think I've got a fixed sort of approach.
Yeah.
I suppose that's also fixed, but
so tell me about these traits that you picked up then, because actually that was my later question about you and your dad. But in any case, what are some of those things that when you were being brought up, you're like, this one works, this one, nah.
So I think the big thing for me is, I mean, just a quick disclaimer. Mom and dad were never married, but he's always been present. And I can't, I can't fault him necessarily. But, I mean, the time thing for me is a big thing. He was around, but he was never hands-on involved. So that's a big thing for me. Affection.
Yeah.
Like outward affection. You know, I mean, I remember I was in my 20s, I think, or early 30s, I can't remember. And my aunt stayed with me, my dad's sister. And we were chatting the one night, and she says to me, "Yo, you know how proud your dad is of you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." But in the back of my head, I'm like, I've never heard this, you know? And so things like that, I want my kid to know how I feel about whatever he's doing at any given time. So yeah, that's basically what I want to amplify, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's this new age parenting of ours. You understand?
Soft parenting.
Is it soft parenting though?
Compared to how we grew up, I think it is.
Yeah. Is it soft though, or is it actually applicable? Like it's just human nature to love your children or actually show affection?
Look, I don't think our parents didn't love us.
Yeah.
But
are we sure about this? If they never said it, or are we sure about this?
I don't think they didn't love us. They're a product of their circumstance also.
For sure.
I mean, I know my mom, is a hugger, a kisser, you know. Timer, not so much. At best, we shake hands. Even that gets awkward sometimes.
Because then you're like, when and where are we doing this thing? Okay.
But I've noticed, with my missus, they hug and, it's soft. Hey, Yimilo.
What?
About you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now they hug and it's with me.
No.
What are we doing, Chief? Are we...
you ever spoken about
No.
You're not discussing things,
No.
Okay. So, you know what? Every time when I do this thing and I see a guy with a relationship with a father, I always light up because I find that very curious. It's something that I do not know at all. How was the relationship with your dad growing up, and how is it now?
growing up, I think it was, for me, it was transactional, you know?
Okay.
I tended to call as and when I needed stuff. But I think as
Were you
I...
at boarding school then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But as I get older and I sort of appreciate what he does and what he did, I think there's a certain amount of respect now, both ways. He can call and ask for. I've got younger brothers, so he'd call back to the co-parenting thing you spoke about initially. So my immediate younger brother is 13 years younger than me, and I remember recently they had a bit of a fallout.
Okay.
So he calls me and says, "Hey, Mnikelo, just talk to your brother."
Talk to
there."
your brother.
How?
Like, kwenzakalani?
I'm like, "Hey, Chief, I've got..." At the time, I've got a 3-year-old at home that...
Yeah.
But I didn't say this. I was
That
thinking
actually
it,
requires this
you
kind
know?
of attention.
And I think we've grown to respect each other. We've grown to relate in a more mature way with each other. Growing up, like I'm saying, they were never together. So you saw him on the holidays. You saw him on the weekends when in the same city. He moved to Joburg first. So holidays, I'd come up here and I think it's grown. We are two proud Xhosa men, I guess, and and we relate accordingly.
Yeah. And it's working now.
No, it works for the most
what
part.
it is.
For the most part, it works.
How is he with the grandkids?
He's great.
And when you look at him, sometimes you're like, yo, yes, I wish you would have just been like this with me. Or is it
not
just
even
like,
with the grandkids, with the little brothers.
oh, it's different with the little brothers.
Soft. Yo, he's gone soft.
So you're the eldest one. But you know this.
He's soft. He's gone, yo. But I guess it comes with the territory, like you're saying. They push us hard.
Yeah, but that's your baton to carry. You know that, right? As the firstborn. That's what happens. This is what I was explaining to you with my firstborn now. Is that he has to go through the fire. You know? Because I'm trying to figure everything out with him. Like, how else am I going to know? That's the guy. And he's trying to figure things out with me. You see? So we're at that thing now. So once you lock on it or you learn something, then I guess you apply it differently to your brother. To the little brother. You know? And that's what it is.
I guess. And it also speaks to how we parent. To bring it back. I said initially, I tried to be the things that I loved about being parented by him, and I tried to weed out the things I didn't. And that's part of the evolution. And the same thing applies to us parenting now. Like you're saying, TJ is the experiment. Mpo will come out better for it.
Which is mad though, because I think it's a slippery slope with the young one. So maybe I'm not landing this thing properly. Lapapezu, level. So yeah, I don't know if this thing's landing. But,
look, ultimately, Chief, there's no book. Well, there are lots of books.
Yeah, but
they don't say the same thing.
Yeah.
So you take the victories when they come, and you try and learn from the mistakes. That's the approach I try to take.
Okay. So tell me about this German school thing. I'm coming across black parents that are sending their school to
Their kids,
to German schools. From the outside, there's always, this question. We always get this question all the time. Why the German school? And for you guys, what was the reasoning?
Look, 2 things. And I've said this to you before. I don't like Abo Saint, whatever.
What? Yeah.
I think they breed a different animal to what I would like to have in my house. So I struggle with the Saint anythings. But also, where we are as and I don't want to sound political, but where we are as a country, you want to give your kids an option to, if things fall apart, should they fall apart, to have the option to, hey, I've got a German university exemption, whatever, and I've got access to scholarships that can land me that side through the school. So that was the other part of the thinking. And thirdly, I mean, in a way, it's also a saint German, but it's heavily subsidized. So the price point for me works compared to our saint, your alma mater.
No, you didn't have to add that one. So with that one, I'm having a challenge with sports, right? So the Germans, for some reason, aren't big on sports. Well, especially this version that we have here in South Africa. But also, now talking to other parents that are of German descent or grew up in Germany or actually German, apparently sports was in a lot of cases, it's not something that the school offers. I guess because of how their communal system is and how they pay taxes, these extra things are available anyway. So you can get it outside of the school system. You know, so I'm struggling with sports, honestly, with the school. And that's the one thing that the Saints do very well. They tend to have a package that is complete from the outside in any case.
My take on it, and I also went to a boys' school, and I find that they tend to lean on the sport a little more than they do on the academic and cultural aspect of schooling. And I'm quite okay with the current setup, because what I find is that boys, especially in boys' schools, overlook the primary reason why they go to school and try to excel at all these things. And if you don't excel, then you are also an outcast, because you play for the D team. you know, you get had for that.
Maybe do better also. Like,
so I'm quite okay with how they package the academic and cultural stuff versus what they do for sport, because again, now we've got access to clubs. You know, if your child is that way inclined. And I hear they've got a great handball team there.
Oh, they do?
I hear so.
Yeah, handball, oh my days. But that's the thing about the club system. So where I am now with two boys, right? And also starting to learn their personalities. Like this morning, our mornings, essentially on Saturdays, is Kung Fu first, and then whatever it is that they're doing. You see, so the other one likes football, this one does Kung Fu, we're trying out gymnastics, and in the summer, there's swimming. Well, the wife doesn't want them to swim now. I don't understand why, because all the pools are heated, but I'm not choice in that matter.
Yeah, Baba, you black ultimately.
You see, you see, so it's all these other things, but it's extra time that has to be taken out. It's extra finances that have to be taken out. So when I look at it, if I'm spending, because football in Joburg, most clubs, it's 4,300 to 4,500 a season, right? That's football alone. I don't know how the other clubs are, but that's my general research, especially around Randburg, which is where we stay. If I'm doing 4,500
for the season,
okay, which is like for kids, it's like maybe 3-4 months, plus gymnastics, plus Kung Fu, plus anything else that you want them to do. Maybe I could just package that and give it to Saint what.
Look, I won't talk you off your ledge, Chief. But if I do the math, like I'm not a numbers guy, but if I break down, you say season is three months, you're paying about $1,300.
Yeah.
Add that to your school fee, you're sitting below 10,000 still.
The ongoing theme with this podcast and fathers, is the lack of ability to provide, or like it keeps everyone up at night. So I'm like, are we ever gonna get this right? Or is Tina just give up, send them to German schools or other schools, give them opportunity, and it's just them?
How do you give up, Chief?
I don't know. Like I'm saying, are we ever gonna get this right? I met one guy in this podcast. This is 32nd episode. One guy, he's like, nah, me, I'm okay. That side.
Me, I'm not okay, Chief.
But why do you think that is though? And like how do we get around this thing? Because it occupies a lot of energy and space.
Let me ask this.
Yeah.
The one guy who's doing okay, what does he do? Is he employed?
Now he's employed. But he's been employed for, I think that guy was 50 when 16 going 50. So he's always been like a super focused guy. But he explained to me that he grew up with a father who was rigorous about money, saving, discipline. So he's like, it's something that I just carried into my adulthood. Hence I'm here.
It's a tricky one, man. Look, I think we all leave high school with, rose-tinted glasses and aspirations of how we're going to change the world and change our lives and our families' lives. And then life happens, eh? I mean, when I first got to varsity, first year I did accounting. And I was thinking,
this is the path.
This is the way to money.
Yeah.
And then I quickly realized, but
also you're at UJ because everybody was doing accounting.
Hey, but it humbled me.
Why? What happened? You're like,
yeah, I saw my ass.
Yo.
No, it humbled me. Then I quickly pivoted.
Yeah.
And I got into psychology. I think basically and I think it's a guidance thing. Because what we tend to do after you fail, and it's not necessarily an academic guidance thing, but it's just a life in general thing.
Yes.
What we tend to do after we fail, we look for softer options that you can quickly run through and then figure it out. And I mean, I fell into psychology and I ran through it.
Psych 101.
And then I ended up in the media space. Broadcast media is not great money if you are the broadcaster.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I was also in broadcast media for a long time. I'm not anymore. Now I'm just working for my children.
You're a corporate guy
at a bank. So obviously, one of my questions actually here was about more specifically to the 16-year-old, and just based on how you answer and the impact that you want to leave in the world, right? How is this you guys navigating social media specifically? All the noise, basically. How are you blocking out the noise to ensure that this young man, you are guiding him towards where you think he can add value to society?
It's a constant struggle. I think sometimes as parents, we're hard on ourselves. We can do only what we can here in the house. Once they step out, they're on their own. They're going to make up their own minds. So I think that's a great place to start from. It doesn't discount the challenge of wanting to guide all the time, And I mean, a 16-year-old boy with raging hormones and social media and whatever other influences the friends he hangs out with will have an impact on the boy, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but
no, tell us about it.
No, it's not easy.
What's not easy?
Parenting, Chief.
Yeah.
You, like I said when I started off, you do what you do, or what you can do in the home environment. You instill what you try to instill what you can at home. And once they step out, there's very little you can do to control what they get up to.
Yeah.
You have to trust that you've instilled the values that you hope will set him up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is.
Okay. And how do you think you're doing?
This one is... for the most part, I think we're doing good. So, I mean, I didn't get consent from Usihle to speak about his issues.
Sure.
So I won't be specific.
Yeah. No,
But
that's
I think
fine.
for the most part, I think we're doing okay. I think if you give kids a stable home, if you make home as peaceful and as as friendly as it should be, then it becomes easier for them to come back home when they're struggling with what's happening in the world. And that's what we try and provide. We try to, just provide the mellow, be boring even.
Stable.
Keep it vanilla for the most part. Excitement here and there, but just keep it vanilla. And hopefully that grounds them a certain way that sort of shows them that, the excitement dies down and you must live with the self, and the self needs a flat line of sorts.
Yeah. So you said something here. You said consent from him, right? To speak about his issues. Run me through that conversation, because I've never heard that before. Because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I can just talk about my kid or whatever, right?
No,
and it's not even to go into detail, but
I think I'm cognizant of how I speak about anyone I get into contact with. I don't want to misquote anyone or to misrepresent anyone. So, I mean, the stuff I can speak on, I speak on. But, back to your one of your few questions about a blended family.
Yeah.
Is you are learning this kid, you didn't get the luxury or the opportunity to be with them from the get. So it's always a case of trying to establish a relationship firstly, but also to gain an understanding of who they are and how their mind works, and and a lot of it is based on trust. So I don't want to step out on the little trust that I've gained.
I hear that.
It's a tricky thing, Chief.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it's, for me, a respect thing. I think if there's a mutual respect, then things can sort of work themselves out.
Yeah. What's your dream for your kids?
Sure. It's for them to be.
I told you, for you, it's gone. It's over.
Chief, the dream never dies.
It's over.
Nah, boss. Hey, ingalendi ilotho kusasa.
And then who's that?
Then I provide for them.
Okay. This is assuming there's unlimited resources. This is just purely your dream for them.
Look, I think the biggest thing for me is for them to be themselves unapologetically. And in being themselves unapologetically, hope that lands them in a place where they can make a good living for themselves. And just, live. Live, love, drink, just have fun.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get into your tools, tricks, and habits. So you said the first one is it's an underrated nugget, this one. You said, but listen to understand. When you don't understand, ask questions. I really try to do this with 4 and 6-year-olds. I don't understand half the time. But I guess the older they get, you are able to do that better. So are you succeeding with the small one also?
I think you are a bit of an impatient parent.
Okay, I'll take that.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
But back to me. Look, I think understanding them does not necessarily mean agreeing with them all the time. It just means you have a handle on their temperament when they throw their toys. You get that, oh, Mhlambi. Ultimately, he's a 4-5-year-old boy who does not get where I'm coming from. That's understanding. And now the reasoning part can be tricky because they've got a one-track mind. If I don't get things my way, I'm going to throw my toys.
Of course.
But I think that's where the understanding comes in from me as a parent. But he will throw his toys. Give him the space sometimes, but just point it out. And listen, to make him feel heard. I mean, he'll say to me, and I've been using this example, sure, but no one wants to play with me.
Yeah.
That's 5-year-old for saying, I need attention right now.
Yeah.
And you give him the attention. It won't be, and then you count him down. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. And then you count him down. You've got 4 minutes now. And you're not obviously looking at the clock, but you just
giving him the idea,
managing the expectation, So that's, and the same, when they throw their tantrum, you try to listen for the most part. They're always at each other. Usihle no nakan. Daddy.
Even with that gap.
Chief.
I'd assumed that wouldn't be a thing.
Look, I think it's more unakane than usihle. But it's all, Daddy, Usihle doesn't want to play with me.
Okay.
Now you must broker peace. Sihle, please, Chief, just 5 minutes. It won't hurt you. Okay, fine. You understand? He can't necessarily relate to his brother the way he does to his friends,
sure,
because of that age gap. So you hey, it's a fine line, man. But you need to listen to them, and you listen to not only just hear them, but to get where they come from. And I think that's underrated.
Okay. Second one is you don't have to win every single fight. You don't always have to be right, even when you are.
Yeah, I think that's just a general life rule for me.
Yeah. Plus, if you're married, that's. But also, just anyway, at work.
It's a general life rule, Chief.
Yeah.
I remember before I got married, my father said to me, Nigan, pick your struggles.
Yeah.
Pick your fights.
Yep.
If it's not a fundamental thing, let it go. And I apply that for the most part. Now I'm in Kandashisa sometimes, as we all are, but for the most part, I think I've saved myself from many fights by just applying that. Why? I'm trying to think of something silly. Daddy, why are we not going to Smoke Daddy? Smoke Daddy is a place we hang out.
Yeah, it's a key. For them, Jesus.
and honestly, if I've got the means to take him to Smoke Daddy's on the day, then we go.
Yeah.
And you save yourself from a sulking boy who's just gonna mope around the house. That's just it.
So what's your approach to that? Like when you don't have the means, do you say to them, listen, I don't have money, oh, okay.
Boy.
No, good. I'm glad because I'm the same. I don't have money. Nyaka. Do not get into habits you cannot maintain. Where's that from?
It's another daddy nugget I got from my old man.
You see why fathers are important? Do you see this?
And it's a simple thing. It's if you bring it down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's a case of don't live beyond your means. Don't compare yourself to the neighbors. Just do what you need to do. And if you can't do it, be honest about it, and don't force matters because that lands you in bigger trouble. You know,
Yeah.
and again, it's not just like a family thing. It's a life thing for me. I'm very honest about what I can and cannot do. And sometimes it doesn't land right with certain people, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Say what you mean and mean what you say. That's one of my favorite lines, you know that?
Is it?
At home. Yeah. But I'm supposed to interpret things for the most part. And I struggle with that.
I don't think gents are good at reading between the lines and
Yeah.
hints and all those things, the soft skills. But yeah, it's exactly that. Bring it back home for me with the kids, with the missus. If you make a promise, stick by it. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. If you don't do it, you must live with the consequence. And yeah, and it's not rocket science, Chief.
No, it's not. You'd be surprised though. So you know what I like, what I picked up from you is all these little nuggets from your father, you know, and I don't think we always know, well, me anyways, like how much impact you have on your children. Just the things that you say and how you carry yourself, you know, because I know that my children mimic me.
You are the poster boy.
Yeah, for everything, you know. And really, I'm supposed to relish this for now while I'm still the poster boy until they realize that this is a scam. Which they will.
When they turn 15.
Yeah, they will know, but pops, like honestly, bro. You know? So that's what I'm saying. I think it's important for us to, and you basically saying it's like, just be conscious and be present, you know, and realize that what you're doing and how we're doing it is actually impacting them, even if it's not direct, right? You know, and that's very important. So I asked you a question about manhood, and people generally, they just go around this question a lot. I don't know why these days in this climate.
I mean, you do know, but yeah, you won't be dragged in.
So. But in any case, my last question then with the manhood question, I'm not going to take it that direction of the conversations on social media, but what kind of men are you raising, and what do they need to understand about manhood, if anything?
I think part of my answer on the sheet you sent was manhood is beyond the appendage between your belly button, you know? And we say that lightly, but I think it's important to point it out. Especially in the climate we live in. I mean, with GBV is a big thing in South Africa, and we need to allow our boys to be themselves, but we also need to show them that being a man is not necessarily about a display of power or just being macho. Yeah, I think we need to raise, conscious boys, and consciousness about self, consciousness about the world we live in, consciousness about other people's feelings, consciousness. Yeah, just generally, we need to raise empathetic young men.
Yeah.
You know? And I think if we can get that right, and I think back to your question about the German school versus the colleges and the traditional boys' schools, which is what I grew up in. The traditional boys' schools tend to highlight the stereotypical macho man, and even clap for it.
Celebrate it.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's another part of the reason why the German school works for me is because it's mellow, man.
You like mellow, you, ne?
It's mellow. It's
vanilla.
mellow.
You like vanilla. Ne?
Yeah, because
our phone is complicated.
No, I feel like, when you start to celebrate things that don't really matter, you confuse the kid. You now play for the first team, you must be initiated into the team. That sort of nonsense. You in standard 6, you must be bullied.
Yeah.
And that's how you assimilate into the high school life. And we don't need that. So I think consciousness of oneself and surroundings is a big thing that we can do to help our kids be better men and women. I think I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah. But I'll say this, right? I no longer see them as soft skills, and I think you should not refer to them as that anymore.
I'm learning.
Because these things that we deem as soft skills are the hardest things to do. The ability to manage one's emotions, to be objective, to see events as exactly that, events, and not a reflection on you or your work or your personality. And that's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because we were never taught those things. But funny enough, that's what makes us human.
It's part of the evolution, man. My whole thing is just try be better, try do better, and hopefully that breeds a better young person from my loins.
100%. On that note, it's a great way to end. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your time and coming on to this episode of the Timers Playbook.
It's been a minute waiting, but I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
It's therapeutic even.
It's nice to talk.
It really is therapeutic. And we don't do it enough.
No.
We don't do it enough.
This is my way of talking. So I know that when I've got this hour, that we are actually just engaging on this issue.
Yes, use.
Pretty much.
Yes, use.
Yeah, well, I use it for two things. I'm also trying to figure out a lot of things about my kids, but also just rearing them, but also just to have concentrated time where we're just talking about children. Because in my view, there is no bigger job than raising children.
There really isn't. You say I guess the money that we say keeps us up at night is ultimately for them. Because I'll tell you for free, in my 20s, I didn't lose any sleep over how much was in my bank account. Zero.
And that's mad. Because you partied, you drank, you went out.
Chief, my car could be, the petrol was lighting up,
but
I couldn't give a toss.
Yeah.
I'd sleep just fine and make a plan in the morning. Now, you need to figure things out. Look, it's a tough assignment, but it's a great assignment.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
And
that's us. Thank you so much to our guest for taking the time to share their story. In fact, thank you to all the guests for coming on to this podcast. And a big shout out to our engineer, Unathi Ngubeni, for pulling the show together. Most importantly, thank you to you, our loyal listener. None of this is possible without you. If you haven't already, before you leave, please rate the content and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any updates. Until next time, hola.